Hi there, and welcome to this video giving you some hints and tips on using the card builder dies from Stampin' Up. These dies coordinate with our Carols of Christmas stamp set, but I just wanted to give you a few quick hints and tips on how to use them best. So you can see there are a number of different shapes here. We've got these two corner ones here, which will create this pattern when you cut it out. You've got this skyscape, which will create this pattern when you cut it out, and you've got this piece here which will cut out this border. Okay, so I'm just going to go through each of the pieces, explain to you how they work, and just a few hints and tips on getting the best results with them. So let me bring in my big shot. Okay, now for these I'm using my magnetic platform and two cutting plates. If you don't have a magnetic platform, what you'll want to use is your regular platform and your thin die adapter plus your two cutting pads. Okay, so let's start with this one here, which is the skyscape. So I'm just going to take in a piece of basic black cardstock. I'm going to lay it down on my big shot. Now there's two things with this. One is you can line it up right to the top of your piece of cardstock. You can see that it's designed, this piece of cardstock is 10 centimeters by 14 centimeters. So it's designed to fit across the top of a 10 centimeter piece of cardstock. But what I've found is that if you line it up right at the very top of your cardstock, when it comes to sticking it, especially if you want to add dimensionals, it's very tricky to fit them in. So what I suggest is just bring it down ever so slightly, and that just gives you a bit of room for attaching dimensionals. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is when you're running this through the big shot, and this goes with any kind of straight edge die, is that if you run it through straight like this, the pressure from your rollers is spread, so you don't get very good pressure. So the thing to do is to just turn it ever so slightly, like so. And what that means is that as it goes through the big shot, you've got the pressure all on this bit, then all on this bit, then all on this bit. So you get a much better, cleaner cut. Just be careful when you're doing your projects diagonally that your paper is not sticking out over the edge so that it doesn't get caught as it goes through. Okay, so we'll lay that down. Pop our cutting plate on top and then simply roll it through. Okay, and then we'll roll it back. And then what we get is, there we go, look at that. Beautifully cut out all of the lovely stars. And the idea is to layer it then onto something light behind it in order to show that off. You could, if you really wanted to, gather up all these little tiny bits and stick them onto something, but personally I wouldn't really have the patience. The thing to do as well is to make sure that after you've used your die, or before you use it again, just make sure that you've poked out all of those little bits that are left inside, because otherwise you won't get a good cut the next time. Okay, you can use your poker tool like I've got here. You can use our die brush as well if you like. Alright, so that's the first one. Just clear this off. The second one I want to show you are these corners. Now, these are really clever because they're not designed to fit any specific card size. So I've got a panel the same size as the other one, 10 by 14. And if I line it, I'm going to do it this side. If I line it right up at the edge, yeah, it will just give me my pretty little corners. Okay, I'm just going to, again, run that through just like I did with the other one, on a slight angle in order to get good pressure. Okay, pop it off, and then you see your bits just fall out. Okay, and then I'm just going to quickly I can repeat that on the other end. So by lining them up exactly at the corners, you get a nice, even corner borders. Like so. Okay, and again, everything just pops out. You can use your die brush just to help it. Okay, but you can use this on a much smaller piece of cardstock too. So if I take a small piece and I do this, okay, again just placing it at an angle. You get a nice cutout panel. And again, if you did it, you could just put them closer together if you wanted. Alright, so that's the first thing with that one. The next thing to note with this one, let's move the big shot out, is that it coordinates with one of the stamps in the stamp set. So it coordinates with this little poinsettia here. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a small block and a scrap of cardstock from here. Okay, and if I just ink that up, let's pop it there. Okay, what I can do is take my die, bring back in my big shot, okay, and I can just line it up. Here we go. There, like so. Now because I've got my magnetic platform, that will stay in place, but if you're using a regular platform, just pop a little bit of washi tape on there, okay, and then roll it through. And what you get, whoops, is a die cut poinsettia. Now because you've got two pieces which are pretty much the same, you can cut two at a time, which means then what you can do is, if you've got a piece like this, is that you can then pop the flower back in. You can put it in exactly, or you can offset it. It's entirely up to you, but it just gives an extra element of detail to your cards. Isn't that clever? Okay, so that's that second piece. The next piece that I want to show you is, actually I'm going to show you another image that coordinates while we're doing stamping and cutting. These two images in the stamp set here have coordinating dies here which cut out the baubles. I'll show you what I mean. So again, we'll take our baubles. I've got one on here already. We'll just stamp them down. Okay, and then you just pick. There are two different dies. Okay, but you can tell. You can work out which one matches it. So this one matches this stamp set. Okay, so again, just like before, just pop the image down on our big shot and we line this up. Okay, again, I've got the magnetic platform, but if you don't, just a little bit of washi tape holds it in place nicely. So then what it cuts out is not the strings, but just the baubles, like so. So again, if you had a project like this where you stamped your baubles, okay, you could add a little bit of extra colour just by die cutting these out, and you could pop those up on dimensionals and they'd look fantastic, just like that. Okay. So that's tip for these ones. Now I'm going to show you how to use this that creates this border, okay? Because, let me just clear a bit of space. You'll note that this border goes all the way around, but what's provided in the die set appears to be just half of it. So I'm going to show you how that works. So again, this is designed really for a 10 centimeter wide panel. You could do it on a larger one, obviously, but you'd get a border outside. So what you do is you just line up on one side like so, and again do it at an angle as we run it through the big shot, making sure it's lined up nicely. Okay, pop that in and run it through. Okay, and then when we pop it off, you'll see that it just pops out those strings and various bits and pieces. Okay, now if I'd run that through straight on, these pieces wouldn't have cut as nicely, they wouldn't have fallen out quite so easily. So the way to get the other side of this is you line your piece of cardstock up again and you simply line your die up. Now for this card I've cut this panel at 14 centimeters, so what I've got is a gap between these two dots. Okay, let me just run that through again at an angle. Here we go, and again our pieces just pop out very easily. And there we have it. There we go. Okay, so you could, if you had a slightly smaller piece of cardstock or you wanted a bigger border, move these in together. Okay, so that's how you create this border like I've used on this card. And you can see it's designed to be layered on top of something to put something behind it. Okay, so the other few bits I wanted to show you are pretty self-explanatory. They don't really need a lot of explanation, but I'll go through them anyway. So we've seen the ornaments, we've seen the two corners, the trees. Obviously this cuts out 2 and this cuts out 1, so it's great for just building a scene. And then there are a couple of other images in the stamp set that have the coordinating dies. So you've got the holly here, which coordinates with this little die here. You've got the deer, which coordinates with this one. And you've got the little leaves here, which coordinates with this one. And what these are designed for is, if I bring this back in, is that these leaves are designed to be added back on to here if you wanted to, so to coordinate with the poinsettia down here. So there we have it. That's my tips for using the card front builder dies. I hope you have fun with them, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.